Recently, we got to know the identity of the donors in the electoral bonds. And as I was scrutinizing the list, there are a couple of questions that I'm sure are in the minds of everyone here. A, the fact that the BJP gets the large majority of the funding, which can be partly explained by the fact that you're the party in power and everybody wants to be with whoever they think can win. But there are two other questions. One, that the country's major corporate groups, and I don't want to name any one or two, but the big funders who you'd imagine are the ones who are spending their money because it's now through white channels, are not on that list. They're not amongst the major donors, and I'm wondering, okay, if those guys are funding, how's that money coming and how are they funding and why is it not through white channels? The second question, Madam Finance Minister, is this, that out of the 30 top funders, 14 corporates had some kind of investigative agency chasing them for some case, which would lead everyone sitting here to wonder whether this is some kind of a buy or sell some protection. If these agencies are chasing you, fund through the electoral bond route in the hope that you can buy yourself some protection. Now, the Modi government's promise was, we will not let this happen. No way, no crony capitalism. And yet the data seems to be telling a story which leads to many questions, Madam Finance Minister.
I think you've based yourself on huge assumptions. That the money is given after the ED raid happened. For all you know, the money was given earlier. And in spite of that, we went knocking at their doors. Am I making sense? No? What if the companies gave the money and after that we still went and knocked at their doors through ED? Is that a probability or not? That's an assumption which Rahul has made, that ED went and knocked at their doors, they wanted to save themselves and therefore they came up with the funds. One. Second assumption in that itself is, are you sure that they've given it to BJP? They probably gave it to the regional parties. What makes you assume so many things and build a narrative? The government has given and the State Bank has done its job as per the orders given by the Supreme Court. Now you do any hair splitting on it, but do it without assumptions of this nature. ED, and therefore they gave you. But the rest of them didn't. The rest of them have given God knows to who. Which ED was sent to them, and they have also given it. I think, smart, hard-working research will do good rather than lazy journalism.
Finance Minister, a quick follow-up on this. One, do you think loss-making firms and shell companies should be barred from political funding? And the second question that is related to this is that, why is there so much doubt about corporate funding? Don't companies and businesses, if we have a right to vote, we also should be having a sort of right to finance elections of our choice?
एक लीडिंग सवाल इससे हिंदी में भी पूछ लेती हूँ, आप एक साथ जवाब दे दीजिएगा कि पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स का ये शक पैदा करता है कि राजनीतिक उगाही यानी पॉलिटिकल एक्सटॉर्शन का एक सिस्टम हो सकता है किसी भी पार्टी के लिए. आई एम नॉट रूलिंग आउट रीजनल पार्टीज और कांग्रेस और बीजेपी, एनीवन. किसी के लिए भी पूरा इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स का जो कॉन्सेप्ट ही है वो पॉलिटिकल उगाही के लिए मौका देता है. क्या ये सही नहीं है?
अंजना जी, मैं सिर्फ एक बार विस्तार से ये विषय बोलना चाह रही हूँ एंड ऑल्सो एड्रेसिंग योर सिद्धार्थ योर क्वेश्चन. इससे पहले क्या था, मैं फुली कॉन्शियस हूं कि ये मामला कोर्ट में अभी भी चालू है, चल रही है. Verdict is come. SBI is got to be submitting. It is submitted. मगर विषय इसमें एक प्रश्न मेरे मन में आता है, क्या इससे पहले जो सिस्टम था वो 100% परफेक्ट था क्या? नहीं. And let us just recall what my predecessor, when he brought this electoral bonds, Arun Jaitley ji said, is that उससे बेहतर है भाई, कम से कम पैसा जो पार्टियों को चलता है वो अकाउंट के द्वारा चलने दो. That is why electoral bonds, monies are going into the accounts. From account to पार्टीज अकाउंट। सो कम से कम जो पार्टी तक पहुंचता है पैसा, कोई भी पार्टी क्यों ना हो, वो वाइट पहुंचता है। इट्स नॉट अ परफेक्ट सिस्टम, बट यू मूव्ड फ्रॉम ऑलमोस्ट अ वाइल्ड law unto oneself kind of a situation where everybody did what they wanted. So we moved from that to this system. This is certainly not perfect, but one bit better. Now that's not it. Fine. In the wisdom of Supreme Court, they thought this is not the way to go about it. Sorry. All right. इससे बेहतर सिस्टम आने तक अभी क्या हम वापस उसी जमाने पर चले गए हैं कि जो मर्जी कर सकते हैं, कैश में दो, चेक में दो, कुछ में दो, कुछ और में दो वगैरह। आई एम नॉट क्रिटिसाइजिंग द सुप्रीम कोर्ट्स जजमेंट, but it is an analysis which runs in my mind, and I'm sure all of us are thinking about it. So a system which was not perfect, from a system which was completely imperfect, was brought in, consciously brought in, saying at least one aspect of it will be cleaner. Well, it's not approved by the Supreme Court, all right. So therefore, अभी हमारा प्रयत्न ये होना चाहिए, कम से कम इससे बहुत सारे सीखना लायक है कि अभी जो कानून जब भी होगा कि नहीं होगा, आई एम नॉट कमेंटिंग ऑन इट, इट्स नॉट अ headline for Rahul to say finance minister said the new government there will be I'm not saying anything. I'm only saying if at all whenever something comes, we'll have to introduce elements of lessons that we've taken from this to make sure there is a transparency. That transparency will have to be progressively better than each earlier system.
Madam Finance Minister, we are coming to the...
And yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Siddharth, you're right. Why not? If corporates can fund, they can fund. But of course, under which scheme of things, which law, all that will have to be worked out. Nobody is saying no parties cannot be funded.
But loss-making and shell companies.
Yes, there are issues on those sort of things, which of course will have to be looked into. You can't afford to have shell companies or, loss-making companies. That's a very valid point.